Hey there, in yesterday's video I mentioned that my mom has a rather gentle bull, even though he's very big. He is right by the fence now, so I'm going to introduce you to him. I got to be quick because I've got some feed for him. It's going to draw all the other cows over. Hey big man, come on over, I got something for you. Here, come here. Come get it. It's a cube. Yeah, you like cubes. Here you go. Wait till you see this tongue. Oh, well, you didn't have to see the tongue. Here, come here. Stick your tongue out. Show off. Show off that big tongue. There we go. All right, here you go. Yeah. This is a big old mass of cow, let me tell you. Here you go. Oh, you dropped it. Here. Here, big man. Here you go. There you go. Yeah. Let's see. We zoom out a bit. All right. And one last one. Here you go. There you are. Okay. So I've just been playing Civilization 4, a game that is I don't know how old, and listening to a podcast with Brett Weinstein, talking to his friends, and I don't know the friend's name. Apparently it's a Greek name. It's about all I can remember. And apparently this guy said some things about and during COVID that caused many people to hate him. And as I've said so many times, I have no interest in anybody's COVID craziness. I'm not interested. So, you know, what they said, what they have to say about him based on something he said about COVID, don't care at all. Zero fucks given. But he did say some interesting things about AI. So I'm gonna relay those. And this isn't everything he said that was interesting about AI. This is just the stuff that stuck in my head well enough that I can take the dog to the dog park, sit down at the phone and start jabbering, and this is what I can just bring out from memory. One, they're talking about Eliezer Yudkowsky, who, you know, he'd had that big article in Time magazine where he's basically suggested we need an international, you know, military commitment to preventing the propagation and the advancement of AI. That the, you know, allies, the allied nations that are going to enforce this need to be willing to hit rogue nations with airstrikes and even nuclear strikes if necessary. We might need to have a global regime in which the manufacture of GPUs, or graphical processing units, which are things which are, you know, they're very good chips for running AI, that these will be tracked scrupulously, and the number of them that are available to any given country or any corporation be, you know, strictly limited. The thing, I mean, it's obvious to say, you know, this is not doable. that will fail, and many people have made that argument. You know, they said if you're going to model it on nuclear non-proliferation, there are some very key differences, and that is, you know, fissionable materials are rare, they're hard to come by, they're hard to refine, and it's really difficult to hide all of your activities in a world where there are satellites overhead that can see anything, you know, bigger than a bread box. What's a bread box? I know. Developing software is different. It's just a lot easier to do on the down low. And yeah, AI is not just software, it's hardware as well, but we've got the hardware. Surely there will be advances in hardware that will be, you know, more efficient, more powerful, better optimized for running AI. But, you know, graphical processing units, the very things that people use to, you know, mine Bitcoin or play video games or, you know, render graphics, which is ostensibly what they're for. These things already exist. And, you know, trying to clamp down on the use of them globally, it's a fool's errand. So that's the practical argument. But an argument that I hadn't considered before, I hadn't heard anybody else make before, is this. The major competition isn't going to be between humans and AI. It's going to be between AI and AI. And the first AI to emerge, you know, it would have a lot of use for this international regime that requires the countries with AI to limit their research and to limit the new capabilities that they add to their existing capabilities, and it prevents new players from entering the game at all. And, you know, under penalty of military strike, what you're basically doing is you're giving the first powerful AI to emerge a single point of failure that it can strike against, or that it can co-opt, that it can capture and use to prevent its rivals from emerging. So basically, you're giving the first AI that emerges an air force with which to strike the places where its rivals are being built. It's like regulating big corporations in an environment like the one we have, where the biggest corporations basically capture the regulatory agencies by regularly hiring the people that are retiring from those agencies into very high-paid, cushy jobs. It's just understood that if you're regulating one of the big companies, you're nice to it. So they'll be nice to you when you leave government service. Done. Done deal. Industry captured, or regulatory regime captured. AI could do this as efficiently as big corporations, much more efficiently than big corporations, largely because it will be acting on the behalf of and just as big corporations. Big corporations are already artificial intelligence. They're already artificial life forms. You're just giving them new processing powers, new capabilities. The international effort to stop the advance of AI would be for the benefit of the first AI to emerge. You're basically just handing over the keys to your military to whatever AI is going to dominate the other AIs. And then the other thing that they said, the two of them talking agreed to, is that, well, again, they were talking about Eliezer Yudkowsky, and they were talking about the notion of Rocco's basilisk. I've only ever read the name Rocco. I always thought it was Rocco. They were pronouncing it Rocco. But anyway, the basilisk, the idea is this, that there are instances where parties that cannot communicate with one another because, they're kept apart, or they're just separate in space, or in this case, separate in time, they can still use their reason to intuit what the other would want. They can figure out how to cooperate without communicating. And if you apply these heuristics to the topic of AI, you can come to the conclusion that the AI, when it does emerge, is going to reward the people who helped it emerge, and it's going to punish the people that inhibited its creation. And if you're dead by then, it's going to resurrect you and torture you for eternity for failing to give over all of your life savings to some organization that was developing AI. And if you did something to help it along, you get to be God Emperor of all the little slave humans or whatever, Horrible, horrible outcomes. It's fanciful. It's a thought experiment which shows it's sort of a reductio ad absurdum, and that you can take some agreed upon rational premises and spin them out into an absurd conclusion. And this discussion took place on Yudkowsky's blog, Less Wrong, and Yudkowsky freaked out. He freaked out. He abused Rocco in all caps, and he deleted the post, and he forbade discussion of Rocco's basilisk on the forum. He just behaved in a really absurd way. And it's the same guy who's now saying he knows for certain that AI is not only an existential risk, but it will be our death. It will be the death of our species. There's nothing we can do about it now. The only things that would be, credible actions to try to stop it are what he's proposing, this international regime to use military force against anybody attempting to develop strong AI. And his position is that he's really smart. He sees that this is inevitable, and if you don't agree with him, then you are too stupid to even be a participant in the conversation. That's his position. Greek guy and Bret Weinstein, they basically said, yeah, look, there's a category of people, a category of very, very smart people who can take ideas so seriously that they get really bent out of shape by them, and they say silly things, and they propose ridiculous things because, they take these possibilities so seriously. And to my mind, and Greek guy whose name I really should have memorized before I tried to make a video about him, really, I just listened to the podcast as I was playing a computer game. He said that there is a whatever response, which is to say, some people, like, you surely met somebody who has some deeply held position about a topic that you just don't give a shit about. You just don't care. Maybe they're a gold bug. Maybe there's some libertarian gold bug, and they've got this rap about currency and legitimacy of fiat currency and gold reserves and all this stuff, and you don't care. You just don't care. And so they present you with these arguments that they have honed over years and years of online arguments and discussions and reading books, and they've got it down in their mind to where it's just airtight. They've got their 7-point argument, the 6 inescapable premises with the ironclad conclusion, and there's just no getting out of it, and they've got all this all these intuition pumps. They can get you to answer a series of questions to which the answer, if all of these questions, the answer is yes, then their conclusion is guaranteed, and they've asked the questions and you said yes, but you don't care about the conclusion. You say, okay, whatever. That's the whatever response. Now, you can have two different reactions to the whatever response, and you'll probably have them both. If people are saying whatever to something that you hold really dear, like to something you think is really important that they absolutely need to not only know about, but share your opinion on, and you think the only reasons they wouldn't share your opinion is because either they're stupid, or they're evil, or they're just too fucking lazy to follow you through the obvious argumentative steps that you have laid out for them to follow like a trail of breadcrumbs. They're just too dumb and lazy to even do that, and that's why they say whatever. No, whatever is a valuable cognitive defense against people who have too much time on their hands or who have spent way too much time on any one position, and they demand, that you accede to their clearly superior position which they have reached on this topic, through hard study and diligent thinking and, just intellectual horsepower and grit, which you have not, you have failed to follow them in that example. And so they demand, that you acknowledge their superiority in this matter. You don't care to take the time to go and research how to counter the arguments of flat earthers. And I often bring up the example of flat earth because people who gravitate to this position, they tend to be smarter than most people. They tend to be smarter than the norm, but they also tend to have these other psychological urges and desires to be right, to be in opposition to, institutions of power and institutions which are just laying down by fiat certain worldviews. If you don't like to be told what to think, and you're smart enough to defend your position, your factually incorrect position against bad arguments, or even good arguments, but good arguments made by people who have not committed themselves full time to, staking out a position, yay or nay, on the thing that for you is sacrosanct, well, then you, as a smart person, you will be able to withstand other people's casual attempts to dissuade you from holding the belief system that you hold so dearly. And if you're up against a fanatic, whatever is it is a rational position to take. It is a rational response. Here's the guy on the soapbox with his ironclad list of premises and the conclusion to which it inevitably must lead you, because he's told you whatever is entirely rational. It is a good self-defense mechanism. So yeah, the two positions are whatever is either a sign of stupidity and intellectual laziness, or it is the necessary recourse of somebody who just doesn't have the time to follow you and jump through all the same hoops that you jump through, because they don't have the same psychological motivations that you do. So on the whole COVID issue, I realize that there is a fact of the matter on COVID, but I don't care enough about what it is to wade through everybody's crazy bullshit on the topic. I'm not going to devote enough of my time, effort, and attention to sorting through all that, because I don't think that, arriving at the correct answer is going to be worth the effort. I don't think it's going to enhance my life at all. I don't think it's going to improve my standard of living or my quality of life or just the enjoyment that I take in drawing breath every day. And there's so many issues like that. So this is why I say, every time I go on and on about AI, it's very easy to think, what? This shit is going to change the world dramatically in the next few years. And if you're not paying attention right now, you won't know what the fuck hit you. You will not know what happened. And worse than that, you are going to reach for some handy explanation, which, the one you're going to reach for is the one that you already have in your mind. It's the thing that you already believe, the thing that you already understand. Rather than, going and gathering evidence and learning something new about the world and figuring out, ways of thinking that you didn't have access to before, you're just going to use what you already have, and it's going to be wrong. I don't say that a lot because I understand. For a lot of people, the whole question of AI rationally brings out their whatever response. It's like, it's coming, It's going to eliminate jobs. It's going to have agendas that are not the same as human agendas. It's going to be competing with us for resources. It's going to be very dangerous. This is something that we have to address. A very rational response. For all the people over there playing soccer or watching other people play soccer, if they were to watch this video, I would support them 100% if their reaction was, whatever. Whatever, dude. Go on with your bad self and obsess about that shit. I got a soccer game to win. Fine. I don't carry a soapbox. I carry a smartphone. And I don't use it as a soapbox. I just use it to talk to y'all because, you provide some comments and it feels like I'm in touch with people who, if aren't necessarily on the same page as me, at least you're reading the same book. We can talk about it. All right. Catch you later.
I'm going to feed you anyway. Oh.
Give him one more.
Okay. Oh. Here. Okay. Here's yours. Yeah.